Okay, hello everybody. I'm not sure if everything is set up properly still. I keep noodling around with things. So, at any rate, here we are, 2022. Welcome to the new year. As I had left a little intro, well, it's not little, it's a 45-minute intro about what ohmTown is. You can check that out. It's stored in the VODs, and you might get a little more out of it. Obviously, if you stumble across this and we're not live, which it should change, I will probably be streaming music, stuff like what you might be hearing in the background right now, this right here, 24/7. I'm starting here pretty soon, but in the meantime, I'm going to do what I had set out to do as the beginning of 2022 and start streaming every day. I had planned for 6 o'clock. Today kind of got away with from me, and we're running a little late, but at any rate, I go by Merawatt on Twitch and on other platforms. I haven't really engaged much over the years, mainly because I've been working so much, but I keep on saying that, and I need to be done with saying that. So if you stumble across this, thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoy the community that I'm trying to build, which is basically one in which we talk about the news, and we talk about it live and via Discord and Twitter and YouTube if it's something that people are interested in, but mostly Twitch and Twitch chat. In fact, let me do something real quick here so that I can see Twitch chat really easy. So I'm not advertising. I'm not pitching this anywhere. I'm not out there, trying to sell people on this. And so when I'm not talking about the news, I'm going to be gaming and listening to music and streaming all the same. So I might not be talking about the news, but I'm willing to stop what I'm doing and talk about the news, or even stop talking about the news to play a game if people are really interested in it. I've been involved in beta testing software, going way back. I'm one of those old school, as you can see, I'm one of those old school gamers, playing all the way back to Atari, and my first computer was Timex Sinclair 1000 with a membrane keyboard. And over the years, I've kind of amassed some knowledge and experience, and I hope to talk to people about the news and give a perspective that hopefully you all agree with and want to talk about the news. So the idea of this is we talk about these categories here and all of the stuff that is within them, but to get to them, you click on a link. And this name may change. I'm not really tied to create, but it's basically maker, creator kind of concepts. And so the first one is breaking prose. Now, I don't plan on going through each group, but I'll go through the news. And this is just a snippet of what the news is within these organizational units, and it's 50 of them. I don't plan on curating what I talk about, only because we are bombarded by information each day, and I can refresh this at any given time, and then the information will change. And I kind of like to vamp. I don't really like scripted stuff. unless it is a show that is decidedly scripted. And by that, I mean not a live play RPG kind of a thing, but an actual show that is from end to end scripted. Many podcasts are scripted to some degree, and I just don't like it. So I like being live. I like being off the cuff, open and honest, and have a frank discussion about what we are reading. And with that, the creators section or makers section, the creators section really contains these groups, and they range from writing to crafting 3D objects and printing them out, and that's what Constructagon is all about. And I aggregate news into all of these. This site has always been a site specifically for me, and then I changed it over the years to be open to other people. So you can become a citizen of ohmTown just by going to ohmTown.com and creating an account. I plan on tying it to Twitch, so you can actually connect your account to Twitch and maintain things like your username profile. And that'll be coming here pretty soon, actually, if everything works out right. So each one of these links to a post, and in that post is going to be another link that takes you to the source of the news. And so we'll click it, and then we'll take a look and just go, look, it says RPG fan games of the year 2021 Reader's Choice voting closes January 2nd. So if you're going to vote, go out there to rpgfan.com and sign up and vote for what you think is going to be your favorite. If you cast your votes, you'll get taken to a Google Doc. Yeah, and you can go down through this. Best traditional RPG. What do you think? It's pretty interesting. Have you guys played any of these? Any of you played these? How about best action RPG? Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy, Monster Hunter Rise, Tales of Arise I heard is really good. I never played it. I've never played these two. Best graphic adventure novel. This was interesting. Now, I'm not voting, so I can't unvote that, but I'm not going to vote, so I'll just clear it and move on. Best strategy. These are all pretty neat. Well, and you can actually look through this and see stuff that you've never played before. So I hope you stop by RPG Fan and vote. There's quite a bit there, so go and check it out. So I can go back and you'll see that if I wait a little bit, this will change over the minutes that we sit here. And if you have any questions or comments, or I can even pull you into video chat if you want. We can do Zoom, we can do Skype, we can do WebEx. I've pretty much got everything because of what I do for a living. So particularly during COVID. Distance is all the rage. It's actually one of the shows that I'm hoping to spin up. And I'm even looking for hosts that want to do a 1 hour show each week and become a part of ohmTown if you want. Square Enix president knows people who play to have fun, dislike NFTs, but he wants them anyway. So I don't know how you feel about NFTs, but if you've never heard of what an NFT is, it is a non-fungible token. And essentially, you own whatever it is that has been put into an NFT, and it doesn't have to be just a digital work, really. It could be representative of a digital work or a physical work in digital form. And so you can actually own a script to a movie or pretty much anything. I don't know how to put it other than it can become the embodiment of something based in the real world. But NFTs make things a little, odd, I guess, because while I can own the NFT, I can buy and sell, trade it. But at the end of the day, it's just a digital representative, and it's kind of like stock, except that it isn't stock. There aren't partial shares of that NFT. But it is the embodiment of something. So you can actually own it and somebody else can buy it from you if you so choose. And it's quite fascinating technology, but it's one of those things that the people who really love it are the people that are embracing it, and the people who don't really care or think that it's garbage or a scam or something like that. Their understanding of it and their willingness to embrace this new tech runs the gamut. And so it's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. But NFTs right now, it's kind of like cryptocurrency. This stuff is so new and abstract from what everyone has accepted over the years that it doesn't come across as, does this make sense? Is this for real? Is this legit? Yeah, it's legit, but not everybody is interested in this stuff. So it's going to come across as arcane, kind of like the law. Let's see, the article says they don't like the idea of tiny, persistent microtransactions becoming a fundamental part of their games. Yeah, people have never liked it. Microtransactions are the bane of most gamers' existence to a point. There are some games where the game exists because of microtransactions. Games that go, I don't know how far back I can really go. I mean, I'd have to ponder this to really reach back into my memory. But games like Farmville, when they first got onto Facebook, had microtransactions. They still do today. Most apps, many apps, I should say. I can't generalize because I don't know what the statistics are for how many games have microtransactions or how many apps have microtransactions. But rest assured, there are two fundamental types of people, and it's those who are wholly against microtransactions and those that are okay with it. And those that are okay with it run the gamut of barely accepting it to wholeheartedly pay to win is cool. I have no problem with it. But when you start peeling back the layers of the onion, you run into the idea that, well, the only people that really benefit from pay to win are the people that have the ability to pay to win. And when you've got children playing, it becomes a little more complex. And so this discussion can go on, but let's just keep moving on a little bit. This is under Breaking Prose, so it's a writing link, and I'll pull it up here and then show you. So this is Breaking Prose, and they talk about the term watershed moment is an idiom that refers to an important event that changes the direction of history. And if you follow this link from ohmTown, let me hide that, and you'll see some more discussion about what it is. So by no means do I intend to discuss each element that comes into one of the discussion points that are ingested by ohmTown. I want you to go to the site and sign up and click the links and vote it up or vote it down and make comments. It's fairly easy. If you run into problems, you can always get in touch with me, and I'll pursue it. Hopefully it meets your expectations at least. But if not, let me know. So let's see what James Galizio here says top 10 games of 2021 are. And let's go back here. Okay. I've heard this a couple of times. Slower year for AAA, or the worst year for gaming was 2021. And I don't know. Has it really been the worst year? Yeah, subjectively, probably. There's been a lot of trouble, a lot of strife. It's happened in previous years. There's always issues. But one thing that many people don't necessarily keep in mind is that we are living in a day where we have a massive amount of access to information. And so what you think is an onslaught of negative data and negative information is really, it's the dissemination of what normally is hidden data. So what I refer to in the world as abuse happens in the dark, it's harder to abuse now. Anybody, a child can call out a parent online. And this has happened with politicians where their children are not just accepting that they need to be a tiny piece of the world and unheard because their politician parent is the voice of the family and a large segment of society, or even a small segment of society, as the context matters. Which is another phrase you'll hear me say quite a bit. Context matters. So Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. This is a list of the top 10 games of 2021. And you'll have to go and read it. But It Takes Two is number 8, and that is, I don't know, I'll have to look at the rest of this. Again, I'm not reading this, prior to clicking these links. But I encourage you to go to rpgsite.net and review it and talk about it. And if you want to talk with other people, both me here on ohmTown on Twitch or ohmTown.com, feel free. But It Takes Two is a great game. I've watched so many people playing It Takes Two. It's a really fun game that as long as you communicate and you're open to repeatedly failing at something and trying it again, you can actually build a really strong relationship with somebody because I've played games that are similar to this. It Takes Two is a unique interface, though. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's amazing. It's really fun to play. But I've played lighter versions with my kid, and let me say that it is not an easy thing to play a game where somebody else can mess up and you have to do something over and over and over and over again. It can seriously build frustration, and it's a teachable moment where one of the two people learn what it is to be stressed in a way that it exposes them to introspection. And if you're about to yell at somebody because they've messed something up, a game like this will teach you patience. If you like gaming, It Takes Two is a great game. A Returnal, that that game is a lot of fun as well. He says that he detests that he spent $70 on Returnal. But that game is a lot of fun to watch, particularly on Twitch. There are several streamers that I watched. Coalition here on Twitch did a bang up job of representing Returnal, playing it. I could tell by his interactions that he had a lot of fun, and go check out his review. You can find him on Twitch at Coalition. Co-Carnage actually is the name, but the Coalition is the community that's around him. So I think that you should go and check out Co-Carnage. And that is his username on Twitch, Co-Carnage, COHHCARNAGE, Co-Carnage. So go check him out. Great guy, always positive energy. Played Returnal from end to end, and I think he loved every bit of it, but you can go check it out for yourself. I never watched anybody play this, and honestly, I don't know the context of this game, so I can't say much. Same with Metroid Dread, that's number 5. Same with Fuga. I'm not even sure if I ever saw it. And these are interesting because these look like RPG style, but I'll have to check them out. These are unique to me. And Final Fantasy came into its own in 2021. It was popular to begin with, but it exploded in 2021. A lot of streamers just went wild for it, and people were pent up. You know, you can't go outside for most of the last 22 months, unless all you're doing is getting supplies and coming back. So you get what you want and then come back and you play Final Fantasy. So I'm glad that Final Fantasy is still growing, still popular. I started the large scale MMOs probably when World of Warcraft went into beta. So I started World of Warcraft back when it was beta, but I stopped playing when I went back to school. And so I bought the expansions and tried to play them for a little bit, but World of Warcraft really kind of burned me out. To me, it was one bad decision after another. That said, I've played Final Fantasy. I can't get too into it. It's just a different stylistic thing. I think the story is great. I've watched hours upon hours of Final Fantasy. And I think that it's got a great story. It's got great characters. The world is huge, great verticality, and you should try it. And everybody really should try most of these games, particularly when they're free to play and only expansions and stuff cost money to get into the zones of various things. I'm one of those who always try out a game at least. But some of these I've never even heard of. For some reason, it's just slipped right by my radar, and I'm really into games, so I don't know why I've missed these. But let's keep going. First-person shooter. First-person horror shooter. Let's check it out. So again, there's just a little snippet, and then you can go and visit it. I'm not logged into my own site, by the way. I block the ads on my own site because I'm the administrator, but you'll see a little banner ad right here. Just if something's interesting, then so be it. But it's just this one ad. You shouldn't see it anywhere else. If you do, let me know. I experiment with certain things, so this is a first-person shooter, huh? A horror one, but I mean, we've had these kind of first-person shooter horror games. I mean, come to Twitch around Halloween and you'll see just a massive amount of games that are horrors. Interesting. But it's made with Unreal 5, and Unreal 5 is just an amazing piece of software. If you are into software development, if you're into 3D modeling, if you're into gaming, and although it's designed for gaming, Unreal goes well beyond. Pardon me. Just noticed. So, Unreal Engine is really amazing. A portion of Unreal Engine is dedicated to virtual actors, and they've grown leaps and bounds. And at some point, my other sub community on ohmTown, which is called Reality Hackers, we'll end up talking about these virtual actors. But Unreal Engine makes the virtual environment so much more realistic, and with RTX style ray tracing technology, the lighting and immersiveness of the worlds are going to just be literally night and day different between what has been known about in the speed and object collision technologies. It's going to look more real. It's going to feel more real. And in the last 20 years, things have grown quite a bit in sophistication. So I hope that Unreal Engine keeps on growing. I am a person who talks about artificial intelligence and machine learning and the aspect of technology around this that is going to change the way that people interact with the world. If you have augmented reality glasses, let's say Apple releases their augmented reality glasses, or somebody else comes out and releases augmented reality glasses, you'd be able to interact with a virtual person in real time that's artificially intelligent and machine learning, capable of adapting to you and integrating what it learns about you while you are interacting with it. And it's going to be able to parse things like publicly available social information, social data, as well as your past history with X, Y, and Z company, whatever it might be. So if you're not comfortable with that, then let's talk about it. Maybe you've got something on your mind and you'd like to discuss it. Yeah, CES this year. I'm not sure what's going to happen with CES. It's interesting because although it's from January 5th to January 8th, my understanding is that companies are pulling out and at the last minute, and things are changing as to what's on the floor and how you can interact. I'm sure that it'll be fine. And the technology that they are going to be discussing will still hit the market. CES is great for networking and discussing these things. It's always been a destination for those in the industry. But this year you have to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 to attend, but others have actually left. I think, well, I don't know for a fact, so I don't want to make a claim that large companies have left, because I've heard certain things, but I didn't go and look it up. So if you are in the industry and you're interested in CES, it's right around the corner. And time is flying by, let me tell you. And as I tell clients and people around me, you can't get time back. So make sure that you take advantage of the time that you have. So let's continue on. But definitely go to the site. This particular site that talks about 3D printing news briefs, and the article is titled CES 2022 Standards, Business, and More. That's at 3dprint.com. So go and check it out. It's a great site for news. It is one of the go-tos for me, kind of like Tech Meme. That's one that a lot of people go to get like a summary of certain news, but I ingest so much news that I'm nearly 30 minutes into talking about this one section, and my goal is to, within an hour, maybe two, go through all of this, at least the first page of each one. And let me tell you, I've got thousands upon thousands of pages in this. So be sure to swing by ohmTown and sign up. You can always stay in Twitch and not sign up over on ohmTown, but I would like it. And we can talk about it here in chat, again in real time. And afterward, if I'm not streaming and you want to continue the discussion, you can go to ohmTown, log in, post a message, I'll find it. Or you can be in Discord. We have a Discord channel as well, or not channel, it's a whole thing. Every group has a Discord channel as well. So go and check it out. So let's see. Oh, there it is. I had heard about this. This is an article titled Why 2021 Was the Worst Year for PC Gaming. And that's at pcgamer.com. They talk about the the GeForce RTX 3080 launches still in the warm afterglow of the impressive. Let me tell you, production for video cards and the initial cost and then the aftermarket and then consumers are in this hot mess of a relationship because it is astronomically expensive to purchase a video card now. In many cases, the video card is more expensive than the entirety of the computer. At one point, I found a scalper who was selling 3080s and 3090s in the $2,500 to $3,500 range. I don't know if they were selling there, but it's astronomically expensive, and most people can't afford that. It's just not a reality unless there's so much money floating around that more people than you think can really afford it. And maybe I just can't justify it because $3,000 for a video card is absurd. So I don't know. We're in the 21st century. We should have the ability to produce a video card that is sophisticated at a reasonable price and at a quantity to the point where consumers can purchase it and scalpers aren't able to exploit the lower level of production. I can't say really lack of production because supposedly we are in a pandemic, but supposedly the production channels aren't being impacted anymore, right? Because we heard many times now that it's being managed fine in the countries where production for the US and around the world is being done. The reality of it is that's not true. Production is being crushed still. And maybe something will come of it in time, but I know that video cards are astronomically expensive. So they write PC gaming means different things to different people, and that alone plays into what is so good about the hobby and why no other platform can match it. Well, gaming is entertainment, and it can offer quite a wide variety of teachable moments within it, and the ability to do some introspection in society. And a lot of the gaming world has been impacted by people who don't understand it, who think that it's violent or doesn't have a purpose. But I can tell you that it goes beyond just pure entertainment, but it is a form of entertainment primarily. It's really not there to be one thing. It is many things. And one thing that I can talk about that's really interesting is, I've used the gaming environment to research phobias and to do pain management and to do education. You can learn a lot in a game environment. And so it's not really just a hobby. It's not really just entertainment. Its very existence is entertainment, but it has layers upon layers. And a game that really teaches while it's entertaining is Eco. It's spelled ECO, and that as simple as that. Just look up Eco on Steam, and this game is fascinating because it takes into account real world mechanics, real world sociological machinations. You need to form a government. There's rules and regulations that you need to follow, and economics that you need to follow. And the whole thing is about saving the world while not destroying the world in the process. The game can, if you want it to, have an asteroid that's about to smash into the world, and you have to build technology up to the point where you can shoot a laser and destroy it. The I've played it quite a bit, I guess. Yeah, well, I mean, again, the amount of dedication to a particular game is pretty subjective, but I've played it to the point where I wanted to wait for updates, and I'll be playing it again very soon. But the game is kind of like Minecraft, but with real world mechanics, and it's quite a bit of fun. So go check it out. It's called Eco. I don't think that 2021 was the worst year for PC gaming or gaming at all. I think that we know more. We are being bombarded by information, and therefore it looks worse than it really is, only because we're more informed. And it's kind of like going from being a kid in high school to a kid in college, or a kid in grade school to a kid in college. And I say kid in college because, well, I'm older. And so going from a kid in grade school to an adult in college, you get to see the world change in a phenomenal way, primarily around responsibility, primarily around planning for the future instead of just enjoying the here and now. And if you don't, as an adult, plan for the future, you may not be prepared for when you turn 50, 60, 70, 80. And therefore, the world can come across as being more serious and harsh and negative. And let's not do that for 2022. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of information, and I'll continue on with this. We'll probably get through maybe half of the topics. We'll go through 3 of them: news and education. And tomorrow I'll do entertainment, social, and technology. And obviously I have to look at the menu system because there's something broken here. That hasn't always happened, so I'm not sure why now. Great. So under this, there aren't that many under news. The daily news show ingests a ton of information, and it's of a broad spectrum. Commuter Edge focuses on working as a teleworker and not really driving to work. We being me, I used to travel quite a bit to work, to get to work and back home, and it drove me nuts. And so I wanted to find better ways of getting work done, so I wasn't kind of spiritually crushed by the commute. When you only have 24 hours, 8 of those hours are supposedly spent asleep, and 8 of those hours are spent working, actually 9, because you get an hour lunch. That means you have just a fraction of free time. So in a perfect world, you would sleep 8 hours, you would work 8 hours, and you would have 8 hours to go about your own existence, except that you have a 2-hour commute each way at times in certain places, which means that you've got 4 hours to do everything that life needs you to do, from paying bills to having a social experience. You have to have work-life balance, but when your work life and your social life are inversely proportionate, you kind of have a problem. That means you have to binge your life on the weekends, and most people don't do that. Well, I can't say that. It isn't a most people thing. Many people don't sleep 8 hours. Many people don't work just 8 hours. Many people don't do a lot of things, the average, or I should say the expected existence of being in the human condition. And so interesting. Streamlabs just kind of threw an error. Anyway, so Commuter Edge was all about trying to find ways to make life easier as you commute to work. So, but the pandemic has changed this dynamic. I think that, like I said in my intro video, we have the ability to just kind of move past the physical aspect of things. Unless your job actually has to do with directly interacting with physical products, you do not need to be in an office. It's great. You can network better. You can meet a lot of people there. But not having to not having to drive to work or commute to work opens us up to having the ability to interact socially with more people. And so I think because of the pandemic showing that we don't need to be in an office, I think the social structure may change if we allow it to as a society. More people going to more places as soon as the pandemic is no longer killing people. We'll be able to go out in larger numbers because we know now that we don't have to spend 4 hours a day commuting from one place to the next. So most of the news that you'll find most of the articles, most of the discussion will be under a daily news show. Mobile is another one. This is just a general discussion kind of thing throughout the day. The daily news show will be at night. A summary of the day's news. Stock Marketeers will be about business. Hatch Ideas will be about business, but from my particular perspective, along with discussions with everybody who comes to the Hatch Ideas show, which will eventually come into existence on Twitch under the ohmTown name. I am a strategic management consultant, amongst other things. The other things I don't really discuss, but the idea behind Hatch Ideas was to create new products and services, and that's what I do. And then I license them or sell them to businesses. And I don't talk about my products that I actually release into the wild unless it's under Hatch Ideas itself. Anyway, let's move on past that. So if you haven't heard, there are Colorado fires that are running rampant. Someone close to me had a friend that was, or an associate that was in the midst of being evacuated from a Colorado fire while they were in a conference call, and basically said, I may have to leave. And that's about the end of that discussion. Bedtime stories are for adults too. That might be interesting. You might want to come over and take a look at it. Let's see. But now that's changed. In almost everyone's never-ending quest for better sleep, the adult bedtime story industry is booming. This is on New York Times. Interesting. Oh yeah, sleep podcasts. Those exist. I was actually discussing the idea of doing bedtime stories as a podcast, and then they kind of flourished. So that went to the side. One of the things that I tend to contend with is that I am not interested in just one thing. The thing that I'm most interested in really is discussing things with people, talking about news, information, ideas, discovering why things develop meaning, discovering things that are scientifically outside the realm of reality, I suppose. Things like time travel, technology that when I was young, I used to play a game called Cyberpunk. And Cyberpunk as a role-playing game was so fascinating to me because I was interested in the connection between the phrase is meat and metal, actually bonding the two together and being able to go about your day. It would be a fascinating change to the human condition. I would love to get augmented in some way, without going too into it. You know, it's one of those things where if you've been hurt and you live in a state of pain, you will eventually want to do anything you can to get away from it. And so some people end up doing drugs or drinking, or other outlandish things in excess to cope with the issue. I do none of that. I just exist. And so it's one of those things that you really want cyber technology to expand and grow and be deployed into society. But the problem is that right now a leg is, $250,000. And arguably you only buy one, so it's worth the investment. So if you are missing one, then you need it. And that's not even real cyberpunk type augmentations. What we have today. What we have today is you have to put what remains of your limb inside a cup, and it sometimes might have electrodes that detect the muscle changes. It's fascinating tech. You can 3D print them now. Not the electrodes, but the limb itself can be 3D printed. And eventually we'll get to the point where it's a direct connection, and blood flow and whatnot is all integrated seamlessly, and not so much of a second system attached to the human body. And I hope that I'll be around to witness it. It'll be a great time. So in the normal in the normal flow of information, we end up with things that are rather political. I don't actually think that this is political in the sense of standard politics. I don't think that anybody who says a racial slur should be in public office. Hands down, if that causes ire in you, you might want to do some introspection. Nobody should speak to another person with a racial slur. A sewage spill in Los Angeles. I import all of the news from a particular site, so you'll see the horoscopes. I seek to be inclusive across a broad spectrum. Obviously, hate speech doesn't count for that. So if you are interested in a horoscope, you can follow this link to the provider. If you agree with, the ingesting of this data, follow the links and check it out. So the S&P 500 beat both the Dow and the NASDAQ in 2021 by the widest margin in 24 years. And let's see, is it going to be a complete collapse? Because it seems like every generation there is something absurdly destructive in our nature that we can't just be happy with growth. We have to retract in a dramatic way. At one point, Citi was down to less than $1. And if I would have invested in it, I would be a millionaire right now. Because of my connections to people and places and things, I can't invest in certain things because I have knowledge, and it tends to, while I have the knowledge, I can't invest, and I can't share the knowledge, and I can't benefit from the knowledge. Well, that doesn't say the same for many, many other people in a position of privilege. So again, we might want to rethink about the people we elect, let's say. It's striking that I can be brought up on ethics investigations, or someone around me can be, because of what they know, yet others who know and know even earlier than I do, they don't. They have no. There's no investigation. It's quite fascinating. So go and check this Market Watch article out if you are interested, because it says, here's what history says happens in 2022. And you might be interested to know what might happen. And what's really interesting about this kind of thing is hindsight is 2020. And so if somebody is anticipating a change in conditions one way or the other, even better than now or worse than what has happened in the past, the system gets gamed because people find ways of manipulating, not necessarily as a conspiracy, but the masses basically find a way to benefit from this historical knowledge and experience. And so they make changes. And in research, when someone who is being observed finds out that they're being observed, they change their behavior. And that's exactly what happens with investing. That's what happens with the market. That's what happens with society. The moment that someone finds a position, sorry, I keep highlighting various things in this, but it's just me fidgeting. But the way that it works, the way that it works is, if somebody finds a way to leverage it to benefit in some way, whatever it is, that's exactly what people do. And it happens. Some people do it intentionally to benefit at the negative expense of somebody, or I should say just at the expense of someone else. And others have a different ethic. And so if you have a view where, well, it's arbitrage, I can benefit from this decision because I'm aware of it, and it costs someone else, maybe you want to have a discussion with me about it, or with others about it. It's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. It just is a thing. There's some things that are bad, where medicine is skyrocketing through the roof, even though fundamentally nothing has changed, but because somebody said, I can raise the prices and it'll only kill 5% of people, that should be perceived as wholly wrong. But others don't necessarily have a problem with it. So do you want to find out what's going to happen? What history says will happen in 2022 when you have 24 years of S&P 500 performance that beats the Dow and NASDAQ? Yeah, go check it out. So Mary Miller's going to run for re-election with a Trump endorsement. Not sure what that means. Omicron is surging. Depending on where you are, you have tens of thousands, let's just say it that way, of coronavirus infections in 24 hours. Depending on where you are, it's much bigger than that. New York has massive amounts. Los Angeles has massive amounts. Anywhere that is a population center with a high population density, you're going to get high infections. So be sure to wear a mask, get your vaccine. We have a history of denying that kind of stuff, but it's a small segment. Do you have any resolutions for New Year? Let me know in chat. Let me know in Discord. Let me know on the website. There's a whole article here that was created by some site, and you can talk about it, and also go to that site and read the rest of the article, because we only have a little snippet. I never ingest the whole article. That's not the intent of ohmTown. It's basically to raise awareness, find some interesting articles and talk about them live, and talk about them in Discord and wherever. 10 lessons we've learned about eating well. This should probably be moved into one of my other categories, because it has to do with food and drink. But I don't have a food one yet. I'll have to consider it. 2021 has been rather soul crushing in terms of the number of people that have died without COVID being a concern. But even Betty White passed away. I've had family members. So, like everywhere else, we have our concerns, we have our issues. Off-duty officer shot while sleeping in a car outside of Harlem police station. And the number of guns that are out there. And the people who will criminally use them don't care about the law. That's why they criminally use them. They may legally get them, but they'll criminally use them, and that's the problem. As ban on most surprise medical bills take effect, critics denounce for-profit healthcare. And this is a big issue. Should medical care be a for-profit endeavor? Or a lot of research is done via grants during the pandemic. Most of it was funded through grants, not through private investors, but private investors took part in it. Do people deserve to get profits? Yes. But access to healthcare is constrained to the point, kind of like government contracting, in that only the people who have the means to get it can get it. And when it doesn't take place, they either die or they go to the emergency room and it's offset. Somewhere funding pays for the people who don't pay for it or can't afford to pay for it. And this constrained ability to get healthcare because it costs so much, it feeds itself, right? So if there was so much money flowing in, why are there such a limited number of beds? Well, it has to do with regulations and policy and procedure, and only a certain number of people can monitor a certain number of beds. And it goes down the rabbit hole of why things are the way that they are. And different people have a different perspective, a different understanding, a different context. And so in some states, there's only a few thousand acute beds. Yet when somebody receives a bill for their week stay, it's $250,000. Well, like many things that have a constrained level of access, the price shoots through the roof. So going to medical school is astronomically expensive, and it tends to be soul crushing. I say that a lot, apparently, particularly on my inaugural launch of ohmTown on Twitch. But these costs are astronomical for people, and many people suffer from one illness and they can never get out of their medical debt. So stay healthy, folks. So we can continue on with this, and I've been chatting for an hour, and I hope that you enjoy this little video. I hope to do at least an hour every night, but I'm going to have to run a little bit early today. And maybe, just maybe, I can come with some articles that are more focused to a particular trend. I really don't like scripting the discussion. I like reading the material with you and discussing it. So I hope if you stumble across my video, you enjoy it, and you come back to have a chat. So this is the education category, and these are the groups that are bound within it. And some of it is tech, but it's not necessarily tech. So kind of quasi. I'm going to be moving Smack Talk into the technology category. I'm not sure why it's being ingested in here right now. But it seems to be ingested in here as well. So we'll address it. But anyway, it might be because of the category right now is pretty limited in what it ingests. So let me go over what the plan is for education. So the Word in Law is a group that is dedicated to legal discussions, but I am not an attorney. I deal with them quite a bit, and happy to discuss it. And I'll probably be talking about other people who are attorneys that are on Twitch and on YouTube and discussing certain topics. But regardless of the discussion, it's discussed from an attorney's perspective, whereas I am just a lay person. My focus is business, technology, and society. That's what my education is in. But I would like to understand or I should say, I understand the law, but I would like to discuss it as a layperson, not as an attorney. A phrase that you'll hear from attorneys it's anecdotal. The attorneys that I've spoken to say the phrase, "We generally get it right," and I'm shocked by that. So, because I don't want to be generally right or wrong when it comes to the potential of losing thousands and thousands of dollars, hours and hours of life, and possibly your freedom. So I would like to discuss the law from a layman's perspective with input from attorneys. FAR Weekly is the rules around federal acquisition of products and services. And so FAR is what contractors have to deal with. And we can talk about it. I'm not a government contractor. I'm on the private side and interact with federal acquisition regularly, either through grants or otherwise. Dictionary is all about creating new words and phrases and looking at the etymology of words, their history, their existence, and a lot of other things will be discussed in here. Business concepts, marketing. Semiotic ontology is a group that discusses how think symbology. Why do things gain meaning? And as I mentioned in my very first video that's in the VOD library, why is the stop sign the shape of a stop sign in the United States and elsewhere? But why is it red? Why does it have the word stop? Why is it in that shape? There's a lot of methodology to it, concepts, and I hope to talk about it. So, four-wheel tech. It's all about automotive technology. We will discuss the latest trends. We will discuss historical context. Why do we have side view mirrors when they just kind of poke out there and sometimes can be smashed because people drive too close, or somebody bumps into them and it seems to break off or something. There's a history to it. Why are bumpers and front ends shaped the way they are, and why do they need a certain height? There is a historical context to why cars are shaped the way they are, and that there are rules and requirements that vehicles need to have to be road authorized. Greenogram is all about being eco, which is kind of interesting because the game Eco really focuses on being green, so that you don't destroy the planet that you are existing in. And then temporology is the study of science. Is the study and science of time and time travel. So come on back. We'll do this again tomorrow, starting at least at 6. I'm hoping to be on time at 6. I was running a little late, but I'll see you then. Okay. Thanks for stopping by. See you tomorrow.